Okay, here we go. Back in the office, back with my Chelsea flag behind me and my blue chair. That was meant to be a dramatic spin around. It turns out it was the most feeble attempt of a dramatic intro in the history of this channel, which isn't very old, but thank you for 4,000 subscribers. Welcome back to a Saturday morning upload. Normally, Saturday mornings, we have the excitement of potentially an early kickoff in the Premier League. We might have a bit of Championship football on. We might watch a bit of Soccer AM or George Benson Football Channel videos maybe next season on a Saturday morning. Who knows? That's probably going to be the time that I upload my Premier League predictions video. New series coming out for the new season. It is Saturday morning, which means I'm filming this on Friday night. I've got an empty bottle of Corona with me. I can put that on the side. You probably won't be able to see it in the frame of the video. But today is a big day. We're going to be talking about the race for the top four. I'm going to be talking about teams that I think are going to potentially break into the European places in the Premier League next season. I almost said break into the top four. Not guaranteed that some of the teams we're going to mention and discuss today will, in fact, get into the Champions League next season, but I definitely think the race for the top four is going to be very exciting. If you are watching this first thing on the Saturday morning, I'm doing a live stream here on the George Benson Football Channel this afternoon. If I'm not going to be going to the matches, in which case I'll be uploading a match vlog onto my main channel. If I'm not going to the matches for Chelsea's pre-season, I will be watching them on the web app, and then I will also be doing a YouTube live stream whilst I watch it, giving my own commentary, reactions and analysis, and I will go live 10 minutes before the game kicks off. So set yourself a reminder. Race for the top four. I'm not going to include Manchester City, Liverpool or Spurs when I really make my claims for these other teams within this video. Reason being, Liverpool and Manchester City were a class above everybody last season in the Premier League. Manchester City have already strengthened again. Liverpool, for me, was so close that even if they don't strengthen, they will still be far better than any other team in the Premier League next season, other than Manchester City, who I think are a little bit stronger. Obviously, we saw that. They won the league, for goodness sake. Liverpool are going to be good. I don't think they're going to have the busiest summer. Klopp has come out and said that he doesn't expect it to be the busiest summer at Liverpool. And quite frankly, I don't think it needs to be. And then Spurs, Champions League finalists, they didn't cover themselves in glory during that match, but they've brought in their new man from Lyon, who is exciting, and I think anybody that Spurs were going to sign this summer would have been an excitement to Tottenham fans because they didn't buy anyone last year. New stadium as well. They've got the whole season this season in the stadium. It's not like they're going to have to transition from Wembley and then go into a new stadium and all that stuff. It's an exciting time to be a Spurs player and a Spurs fan. But then, when you look outside of those three teams, it's really up for grabs. Now, obviously, the first one we'll talk about is the beloved Chelsea. Transfer ban, Frank Lampard's first season. Everybody, other than Chelsea fans, want him to fail. Potentially, Chelsea might be dropping out of Champions League football next season. Obviously, we're back in the big time next season, but with Chelsea not being able to bring anyone in, and we've still got a month left of the transfer window, all of the teams around us could potentially strengthen even more. But the way it stands at the moment, it's looking as though Arsenal were having nothing but troubles. £40 million transfer budget. The blooming captain decides that he doesn't want to turn up for their pre-season tour despite still having a year left on his Arsenal contract. Unai Emery was, well, made to look like a bit of a fool after Maurizio Sarri won the Europa League and smashed Arsenal to pieces in the final at the end of May. It's not looking good for Arsenal. They don't have an endless pot of money. It looks as though Manchester United will be outspending them again this summer in terms of strengthening the team. And it also looks potentially like Aubameyang might want to leave to play Champions League football, or maybe not even to play Champions League football. I've read somewhere that Aubameyang potentially might go to Manchester United, which I certainly don't see that happening, although the meltdown on Arsenal Fan TV would 100% be worth anything that happens in that realm of transfers. But I think Arsenal are going to really struggle. I think if their captain doesn't turn up to go on their pre-season tour, to me, it suggests that Emery doesn't fully have control of that dressing room. Yes, I know that he wants to go back to France and he's only got a year left on his contract, and Koscielny's basically begging to be released by Arsenal, as he's, well, I mean, he still played like 29 games, I think it was, last season for the Gunners. You know, if your captain doesn't turn up, it doesn't bode well. They lost one of their best players as well, Aaron Ramsey, going for free to Juventus. If you're an Arsenal fan, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but if I were you, I wouldn't be all that optimistic. It doesn't look like you're going to be spending hundreds of millions to strengthen the team to challenge. The next team that are obviously going to be there or thereabouts, as they always are, Manchester United. It's not looking good for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, let's be honest. Paul Pogba and Lukaku, they both went on Manchester United's pre-season tour, which is more than can be said about Laurent Koscielny, although it really does look as though Lukaku could be on his way out. Inter Milan are preparing to make a bid. I definitely think that it's not a match made in heaven for Lukaku at Manchester United. Yes, I've talked about him in a previous video, saying that he's got a very good goal scoring record in the Premier League, but if he's not wanted by United, really, the fans don't really like him, it's probably time to move on. You've got a great record. Inter Milan, if you can go to Inter Milan right now, it would be a very exciting time to go. They've just signed Barella as well, and it's looking as though if any team are going to be there to challenge Juventus next season, which I don't think they're going to win the league, but I think Inter Milan will definitely have a good season next year in Italy, but it doesn't look as though Inter Milan are willing to pay the 70 odd million that United want for Lukaku. They want to make their money back, just like we did with Morata. Not only Lukaku, but obviously Pogba. He's the man that the media just love to write about. Everybody knows that Paul Pogba can sell a story. He's kind of like his own, he's a bit like Neymar really. When you buy Neymar, you don't just buy a very skillful world-class footballer, you buy a brand. You buy into this big personality that is very easy to talk about, in which case when we're talking about football and newspapers and pundits and everybody is looking to say the line that is going to get the most hits, Pogba is the man to go for. Sometimes it's for world-class long-range efforts, sometimes it's for incredible first touches, incredible passes. He's a very, very good player, but he gets himself in the headlines for all of the wrong reasons, and personally, I think Pogba thinks he's better than he is. So if they don't manage to offload him, you could still have that toxic player in the dressing room. They've just brought in Wan-Bissaka. They've brought in James from Swansea as well. They're bringing in young players at Manchester United. And is Pogba going to be the best role model for them in the dressing room? I personally don't think so. If he doesn't want to be there, it's hardly emitting those Manchester United, this special club vibes that players would sign under Alex Ferguson, and they would look to promote that amongst the dressing room. United don't have that, and they also don't have Champions League football. So in terms of bringing in a player of Pogba's potential caliber, I mean, we can stop talking about potential, really, with Pogba now. We're not talking potential. We're talking about a player who on his day is world class, but picks and chooses when that day is. They're talking potentially about Bruno Fernandes, which would be a good signing, but I think a better signing than that would be Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio. I've seen a lot of good videos about him recently. I've been trying to watch like more highlight videos from last season and stuff to give myself a bit more insight into some of these players from foreign leagues that I don't necessarily know as much about as I would Premier League players. Despite that no Champions League, I still think United can bring in those big names simply through the name of the club. And of course they could probably compete with wages also. But the overriding factor, particularly amongst Arsenal and Manchester United, not so much with Chelsea, I think we're pretty stable right now considering that, you know, we're not really talking about transfers because we can't talk about transfers. We've got exciting youngsters coming through. Everyone's buzzing about Frank. We'll try not to talk about it anymore. Compare that to Arsenal and Manchester United, and it's not necessarily a crisis, but it's as good as a crisis as it could be at this stage if you are another club looking to get into European places next season. When you see the mess that Solskjaer is in with United, they've got 6 games to play now in Australia. When they come back from that, if they've not sorted out that Pogba and Lukaku issue, they're going to have a serious issue come the start of next season if those 2 players still don't want to be there and they've not brought in the right names to strengthen a team that certainly needs strengthening. And Arsenal, well, it's just Arsenal, isn't it? Which leads us in to the teams outside of the top 6 that are strengthening. Not only are they strengthening, but the one key thing, Leicester, Wolves, and West Ham. We're going to go through all 3 of them. If there is any teams that are going to break into those European places next season, for me, it's going to be those 3. If it's anyone that isn't Wolves, West Ham, or Leicester, I'll be very, very surprised. The one thing that all 3 of those clubs have in common right now is that it's very stable. Manuel Pellegrini's going into another season at West Ham. They've just brought in Fornals. Not the greatest pronunciation, I apologise. They also may be bringing in Porto striker Moussa Marega, who had a very good goal-scoring season last season in Portugal, and his release clause doesn't exactly look like the biggest sum of money in modern day football, to say the least. So West Ham are strengthening. They've got rid of another toxic player in their dressing room in Arnautovic. It's kind of a bit like United. They need to get rid of Pogba because he thinks he's a bigger name than the rest of the club. Arnautovic thought the same at West Ham. West Ham have said goodbye to him, and they look to be strengthening as well. I think we can forget now about the whole new stadium thing for them. They've settled in, and towards the end of last season, they were starting to look a lot better, and I think with another season under Pellegrini, I think West Ham could be dark horses next season. Then there is Leicester. Yuri Tielemans, he's been the football manager wonder kid for too many years. He is finally looking like the player that all football manager players have been expecting over the past 4 or 5 years or so. Tielemans has signed for Leicester on a permanent transfer, and I think under Brendan Rodgers, getting a full season, a full pre-season as Leicester manager, they've got James Maddison in there as well, who's one of the best chance creators in European football. Not only that, they can keep hold of Maguire, who potentially could be going on to Manchester United, or if we flip that, they sell Maguire for 75 odd million pounds, they can spend that money again and bring in 2 or 3 players to strengthen that team even further. Towards the end of last season, Jamie Vardy looked back to being the best striker that we'd seen from him over recent years, particularly in that season where Leicester won the league. He wasn't quite as good as that towards the end of last season, but we could see his form picking up again. They're playing in like this 4-1-4-1 formation under Brendan Rodgers that brings a really nice free-flowing football, and Leicester could be a dark horse again next season. Ayoze Perez. For some reason, because he always did well against Chelsea, I always liked Ayoze Perez, and I kind of wanted him at Chelsea at one point. And the final team that we're going to talk about today in this video of teams that could potentially break into the top 4, or let's just say European places in the Premier League next season, Wolves. They managed to fend off all of the other interests from bigger European clubs for Raul Jimenez's signature. He was at Wolves last season on loan. Wolves are one of the most attractive teams in the Premier League last season in terms of attractive football for us to watch. And yet again, the same as West Ham, the same as Leicester City, compared to Arsenal and Manchester United, it's a very stable summer for Wolves. They have bought in Jimenez. They look as though they're going to be keeping Moutinho. It looks as though they're going to be keeping Ruben Neves, who had massive seasons for them last year. And they're also probably going to keep hold of their manager as well, who's one of the best managers in the Premier League, according to many people. So it's a very exciting time for Wolves if they can bring in some players. There's been some crazy stories. We won't talk too much about the Diego Costa story again, but they've got money to spend. They're an ambitious club looking to take it to the next level. And I think with what they built last season in the Premier League, keeping the key players that were so pivotal in their debut season back in the Premier League last season, keeping the manager, another pre-season under his belt. I know it's a load of cliche phrases right now, but it's very, very important in football to have some stability and to have a team and a core, a dressing room, staff, whatever it may be, that knows one another, who can keep building on things and just watch the rest around them crumble and see what happens. I think it's certainly going to be a case for that next season for Wolves. No one's going to want to go to the Molineux. It's going to be a very tough place to go again. And last season we saw, against the big boys, they pull out their A game. They pull out their best performances against the big teams. If they can just play on a consistent level like that against the smaller teams, we could be seeing Wolves breaking into the top 6 next season. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. I think we're shaping up for a very, very exciting season in the Premier League. Of course, it's still the middle of July. It's still the beginning of pre-season. There are going to be plenty more transfers, ingoings, outgoings. We're going to be talking about maybe a completely different set of squads come the end of July. My Premier League predictions video will be coming out the day before the start of the Premier League season. So a few of you have been asking for it in the comments, and a few of you have been asking for it also on Twitter. I'm not going to be making a predictions video until the day before the Premier League season kicks off. The predictions video will be coming out then. If you enjoyed this video today, guys, be sure to give it a like. We've been hitting like 400, 500 likes on some of these videos, which is awesome. And if we can try and hit that again, I don't want to set a target, but it's really awesome to see you guys back in these videos. Things are going very well on the channel. And just to let you all know, if I'm going to a football match, be it abroad or Chelsea home and away, those match videos will be uploaded as football travel videos over on my main channel. So if for whatever reason you're not subscribed to my main channel, it's George Benson Travel. Link for that is in the description also. I will catch you all in my live stream hopefully this afternoon. And if the live stream's already been and gone, I'll probably be uploading a brand new video tomorrow looking over that pre-season fixture from Chelsea against St. Patrick's. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.